Story harvesting is a wonderful methodology to collect multiple experiences and really deep notes from a single interview interaction. Story harvesting should also feel really familiar because it's something we've done since kindergarten. You have a single storyteller and a lot of different people listening to the story. For story harvesting, you're going to need several people from your staff to help participate. You're going to need your storyteller, who's the person who's telling the story. You're also going to need an interviewer. That's somebody who is focused on the storyteller. They're not taking notes, they're just focused on being active and present and getting the storyteller to tell more details and really explore the depths of the story. And then you want 4 or 5 listeners. And each of your listeners is going to focus on a different theme or focus area. So for example, one person could be listening for pivotal moments and breakthroughs. Another person could be listening to the process steps that the storyteller had to go through. Another person could be listening to the relationships or other folks who influenced the storyteller during their journey. Another person could be listening for the particular barriers that the storyteller encountered and overcame during the story that they're telling. You can come up with these themes depending on the focuses that your team is most interested in exploring. So the important thing to do is there is a process. Generally, these are the steps that work well in this process. First, you want to introduce your team. You want to create a sense of psychological safety for the storyteller, but as well as the team. You're often asking people to share something that's deeply personal, so you really want to create an environment of trust and respect. Listen to the story. Give the storyteller generally about 20 or 30 minutes. Sometimes stories might last longer, but 20 or 30 minutes is generally a good amount of time for a storyteller to tell their story from beginning to end. The facilitator can ask questions, but the key is to try not to interrupt. Focus on getting as much details as possible without constantly interrupting the flow of the storyteller. This is usually done by asking open-ended questions. Yes/no questions aren't particularly helpful. You can ask people clarifying questions from their theme, but a really great technique from active and empathetic listening is to sum up what the speaker is saying so the facilitator can say things like, "Oh, I heard you say," and repeat their words back to them. Or to say something like, "That must have been hard for you when," and repeating something in the story. This is a great way to get people to dive deeper and explain more about their story. When the person is done telling their story, thank them for their time. Then give the other listeners a moment to ask questions from their theme. The facilitator can also ask questions, but it's a good chance to dig deeper into topics that are interesting that may not have been covered in the first 30 minutes. Group your themes to discuss the findings. Then have the team meet and discuss what they heard according to their theme. As you discuss your findings, you'll probably find things that jog connections between the themes and give you insights that you wouldn't get if it was just a single listener. Once you're done with that, generate the learnings that came out of the session and then share that back with the larger project group. It's also important to create an archive of these learning. You can look back through the archive for themes that are across several interviews. This is another great way to look for trends and develop themes that can satisfy different demographics or different groups that you're trying to reach.